Welcome back to Crime Chronicles. The KRAY twins are arguably the most recognizable gangsters in British history. They were at the top of their game for less than 20 years, and some would argue they were only ever minor players on the London gang scene. Yet their legend has been immortalized in books, documentaries, and on the big screen. Today we take a look at the life and crimes of the KRAY twins, and delve into how they almost locked down a partnership with the American Mafia. A relationship that would have seen London become a major money laundering hub for the mob. Ronald, Ronnie, and Reginald, Reggie KRAY were born on October 24th of 1933 in Hoxton, East London, to Charles David KRAY and Violet Annie Lee. Growing up in the working class neighbourhood of the East End, the twins were part of a close-knit family with two other siblings, an older brother named Charles and a younger sister who died in infancy. The KRAY's early life was marked by poverty and the harsh realities of wartime London. Their father was often absent, avoiding military service during World War II, which left their mother to raise the children alone. From a young age, Ronnie and Reggie exhibited a fierce loyalty to each other, which isn't uncommon in twins, and a propensity for violence. They were known for their boxing skills, a talent nurtured by their maternal grandfather, Jimmy Lee, a former bare-knuckled boxer. The twins' physical prowess and willingness to fight made them local legends, but also set them on a path of delinquency. The KRAY twins' criminal career began in earnest in their late teens. They started with petty crimes such as robbery, assault, and running protection rackets in their neighbourhood. Their first major brush with the law came in 1952, when they were called up for national service in the British Army. The twins, however, were not interested in military discipline and deserted after a violent altercation with a sergeant. They were eventually arrested and spent time in the military prison in Shepton Mallet, but their behaviour remained incorrigible. Upon their release, the KRAYs returned to London and quickly established themselves in the East End underworld. They opened a nightclub called the Double R Club in 1956, which became a hub for their criminal activities. The club was not only a source of income, but also a place where they could forge connections with celebrities, politicians, and other influential figures. This mingling with the elite gave them a veneer of respectability and protected their illegal enterprises from scrutiny. The 1960s saw the KRAY twins reach the peak of their power. They expanded their operations to include gambling, protection rackets, armed robbery, and murder. Their reputation for brutality ensured that few dared to cross them. The twins had a knack for using intimidation and violence to control the East End, and they were feared by rivals and the police alike. One of their most infamous acts of violence occurred in 1966, when Ronnie KRAY shot and killed George Cornell, a member of the rival Richardson gang, in the Blind Beggar pub in Whitechapel. This brazen murder in a public place sent a clear message about the KRAY's willingness to use extreme measures to eliminate their enemies. Cornell's murder was one of the pivotal events that marked the beginning of the end for the KRAY empire. Despite their fearsome reputation, the KRAY's criminal activities eventually could no longer be ignored by the law. Detective Superintendent Leonard Nipper Reid of Scotland Yard made it his mission to bring the twins to justice, something that would take him many years to do, mainly due to the East End Wall of Silence. Reid's investigation was meticulous and involved gathering evidence from a network of informants and witnesses who had been too terrified to speak out before. Around the time Nipper Reid started investigating the KRAYs, the twins were being courted by Meyer Lansky and Angelo Bruno, two New York mafioso who were looking to launder money through London nightclubs. The twins and the New York mob managed a few small criminal projects together, helping launder the proceeds of some robberies in Canada. Ultimately, the relationship fell flat after it became apparent that the twins didn't have the necessary connections with city bankers to launder the large amount of funds the Americans could provide. The KRAY's downfall was accelerated by their involvement in the murder of Jack "The Hat" McVitie, a minor associate who had fallen out of favour. In October of 1967, Reggie KRAY stabbed McVitie to death in a frenzied attack at a party. The brutality of the murder and the mounting evidence of their other crimes led to the twins' arrest in May of 1968. The trial of the KRAY twins was one of the most sensational in British history. It began in January of 1969 at the Old Bailey and lasted for 3 months. The trial was a media sensation, and demand to attend was so high that a black market for seats emerged. £5 per seat per day. The trial was also notable for being the longest murder trial in British criminal history up to that point. The prosecution presented a compelling case, with witnesses testifying to the twins' involvement in multiple murders, assaults, and criminal conspiracies. The KRAYs were found guilty of murder and other charges, and were sentenced to life imprisonment, with a minimum of 30 years, with their elder brother Charlie getting 10 years for his part in the murders. The KRAY twins spent the rest of their lives behind bars, albeit in different circumstances. Ronnie KRAY, diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, was held at Broadmoor Hospital, a high-security psychiatric facility. Reggie KRAY, considered more stable, served his sentence in various prisons. Despite their incarceration, the twins remained figures of public fascination, and they continued to exert influence from behind bars. Ronnie KRAY's mental health deteriorated over the years, and he became increasingly isolated, and he died on March 17th of 1995 of a heart attack. Reggie KRAY, on the other hand, found a measure of redemption, becoming a born-again Christian and expressing remorse for his past actions. Reggie was released on compassionate grounds in August of 2000 due to terminal cancer, and died on October 1st of the same year. The legacy of the KRAY twins is a complex one. On one hand, they are remembered as ruthless criminals who brought terror to the streets of London. Their reign was marked by violence, fear, and the ruthless elimination of rivals. On the other hand, they have been romanticised in popular culture and depicted as charismatic anti-heroes who lived by their own code of loyalty and honour. Numerous books, films and documentaries have chronicled the lives of the KRAY twins. The 1990 film The KRAYs, starring real-life brothers Gary and Martin Kemp from Spandau Ballet, brought their story to a new generation. More recently, the 2015 film Legend, featuring Tom Hardy in the dual role as both Ronnie and Reggie, explored their complex relationship and the dynamics of their criminal empire. The fascination with the KRAYs endures, partly because their story encapsulates the dark glamour of the criminal underworld and the allure of a bygone era. Their connections with celebrities, their dominance over the East End, and their ultimate downfall provided a narrative rich with drama and intrigue. The story of Ronnie and Reggie KRAY is a compelling tale of crime, power, and downfall. From their humble beginnings in the East End of London, they rose to become two of the most feared and powerful criminals in British history. However, their ultimate capture and imprisonment highlight the inevitable decline of those who live by the sword. The KRAY twins' lives were a testament to the brutal realities of organised crime, where loyalty is paramount and betrayal can be deadly. Their ability to navigate the criminal underworld while maintaining a facade of respectability allowed them to dominate for a time, but their crimes eventually caught up with them. In the end, the KRAY twins' story serves as a cautionary tale about the seductive nature of power and the destructive consequences of a life of crime. Their legacy, immortalized in popular culture, remains a potent reminder of the thin line between respectability and infamy. Thanks for joining us today on Crime Chronicles. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the channel with your friends.